Good evening, everyone. I'm Mayor Brian Marl, Mayor of the City of Saline, and we are delighted that you've been able to join us this evening, those of you who are in the audience and those of you who are watching or will be watching at home. Today, or this evening, I'm joined by several municipal officials, including our engineer, Tesha Humphris, City Clerk, Terry Royal, DPW Director, Zach Coppola, and Mayor Pro Tem, Janet Dillon. Of course, running our tech booth is our two city employees as well, Maggie Lupton and Sarah Massey. So the genesis of tonight's town hall is to present on three separate proposals which will appear on your November ballot. Two are in regards to the city charter. We are seeking two amendments to the guiding document of our community. And the third is a street millage. Our street and road millage was first approved by the electorate in 2018, subsequently reapproved in 2022, and now it's up for a third renewal. So we're going to start by, I'm going to yield the dais in just a moment, to the city clerk, who will provide a brief overview of the charter amendments. Then I will turn it over to the DPW director and engineer to talk about, substantively, talk about the street millage and what impact it will have on our local and major streets in the city of Saline. I do want to start by indicating that the genesis or impetus for adopting a street millage or road millage back in 2018 was really twofold. One, we do not receive the level of support we think we deserve from both the federal and state government. And second, there aren't a lot of tools in the municipal tool belt to raise capital funds to maintain and to enhance our local and major streets. So we thought that this was a prudent approach. It's a pay-as-you-go system. We invest strategically in our roads. Those dollars have to be used for road projects or projects within the right-of-way, which Director Hoppola and Engineer Humphris will dive into in some depth in just a moment. We will entertain, at the conclusion of the remarks, the presentations this evening, we will entertain questions from those of you who are in the audience. We will also take questions from those of you who are watching via Facebook Live. So if you have a question at any point, simply type it in. At the conclusion of the presentations this evening, I will be reading them aloud, and staff and or my colleagues will be addressing those. The video will also remain online in perpetuity for you to watch, and we also have some handouts, and I'll make sure that Sarah or Maggie or city staff post the information online, because we want to make sure that everyone is properly informed before you go to the polls this November or cast a ballot via absentee ballot. Unless there are questions for me, I'm going to yield the floor to Clerk Royal to talk a little bit about the charter amendments which will appear on your November ballot.
Thank you, Mayor Marl. Good afternoon. I'm Clerk Terry Royal, and I'm here tonight in regards to upcoming charter amendments on the November 4th ballot. The city charter was first adopted at the November 6, 1962 regular city election. The goal with the charter amendments is to update them to align with current laws and processes. There are two charter amendments that are on this ballot. The first one is section 7.4, and this one deals with scheduling an election for a citizen ballot initiative. Our current charter states that a special election would be held within 60 days of a referendum being submitted with the correct signatures. Election laws are set by state, and this would not align with those dates set by the state. This is simply a change to update the city charter with current election laws. The second charter amendment is for section 7.9. This is in regards to referendum procedures. The charter amendment makes only a few changes, but it will help with the process requirements for any referendum and how the process would unfold, including how many signatures are required. Both of these amendments requests have been submitted to the Attorney General's office and have been approved pursuant to the Home Rule Act. Both of these will be published in Live for the next 2 weeks, so you'll be able to see them published in total. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I've left the sample ballot and my business cards on the back table in case you'd like to reach me, or you can email me at clerk@saline.mi.gov.
Repeat that email one more time for the public's benefit.
clerk@saline.mi.gov.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Clerk Royal. Director Hoppola?
Good evening. So my name is Zach Hopla. I'm our current Public Works Director here at the City of Saline. And as Mayor Marl mentioned, I'm up here for a road millage that is up for renewal. Again, that was voter approved for a charter amendment back in November of 2018. Subsequently back on the ballot in 2019 for that 1 mil to then be adopted come July 1 of 2020. That was carried through till 2022, and in which case the millage was also renewed for 1 mil. That's carried us now through the calendar year of 2026. So we're here to again renew this millage for just 1 mil, and that would be effective July 1 of 2026, and would carry us through until that would come back on the ballot in 2029. So again, we've got our current condition ratings of our roads. We use our PASER ratings to evaluate the condition of both our local and our major roads. So you can see here on this slide, our orange represents our local roads, our blue, our major roads. And so as you can see, dating back to about 2009, we started to see quite a decent decline there, especially our local roads. As Mayor Marl mentioned, we do not get what we believe to be adequate financial support from the federal government or the state government, and it in most times is extremely difficult to get any funding for our local roads. And so that is really what our road millage does help support. And you can see starting in 2023, when our transportation asset management plan was adopted, we really started to see an upswing in our PASER ratings, and really started to see a difference being made here in the community. So again, I thought this image of our 2022 PASER ratings of the city of Saline prior to that transportation asset management plan being adopted was a great image to show. Again, we've got in green is anything listed as good, so rated 8 through 10. Fair is anything rated 5 through 7, in yellow or orange. And then in red is anything poor, rated 1 through 4. So as you can see on this map back in 2022, we had a decent amount of red and orange, not very ideal. Fast forward to just this June when we had PASER ratings done in 2025, it's starting to look a little bit better there. We definitely got a lot more green along Woodland, along Industrial, Maple, the Wildwood neighborhood, Torwood, and a lot of other areas to come. So again, like I mentioned, our transportation asset management plan was adopted there in 2023. And really what this means is us picking the right treatment at the right time. We're not always looking to tear up a road and do a full depth reconstruction or a millage if it's not necessary. We want to target these roads at different times during their lifespan with effective treatment practices that can be much more affordable and cheaper. So those could be joint and crack sealing a few years after a road has been paved, seal up those joints that could be exposed to the winter elements, have frost thaw effect, and can be detrimental to a road. Again, 5 and 6, you can see a cape or fog seal. So any residents that are in the Wildwood neighborhood or Saline River Drive or Arboretum, those were the treatments that we just had done this past summer. And then our mill and fill, that could be a 1-inch, 2-inch, or even down to a 4-inch milling of the existing asphalt and repaving on top. And then our 1 and 2 requires our full depth reconstruction, where we have to dig out the actual dirt underneath, apply recompaction, and basically rebuild that road. So again, we've got a list here of our last projects we've done over 2024 and 2025, with the costs listed next to them. So as I mentioned, Wildwood neighborhood, quite large, but we were able to do more of a seal coat on top and really spread our dollar, compared to Torwood, where we had to do quite extensive mill and overlay in there. And you can see the cost differential, right? Wildwood is almost twice the size of Torwood, but a third of the cost. And so that's really what that transportation asset management plan is striving for, is that right treatment at the right time and spreading our dollar to reach as much as possible. So again, our road funding broken down, our current millage at 1 mil is projected to bring in about $632,000. Our Washtenaw County road millage brings in roughly $250,000. Our Act 51 state funding for both our major roads and our local roads is about just under $1.2 million. We've got federal aid that comes in about every 3 years at about $225,000, bringing us to a total of just under $2.3 million that we have available to spend on our local and major roads. Now, when I say available, that's not just road reconstruction, that's not just these preventative maintenance that I'm talking about when we're sealing or doing the joint and crack sealing, but that's also our operational expenses. So that's our snow plowing, that's our loose leaf collection, that's our pavement markings that we do, sign maintenance, just our day-to-day patching that my staff do, storm sewer jetting and cleaning, catch basin repairs, our streetlight repairs downtown, and our sidewalk repair program. All of those account for about $800,000 of that $2.3 million that we get annually. So again, that leaves us about $1.5 million to spend on road construction for both our major and our local roads. So again, that transportation asset management plan is spending that $1.5 million as effective as we possibly can. And so what that really means is our capital preventative maintenance accounts for about 80% of the lane miles, but only really 12% of that total cost. So we're trying to get as much of that sealing, of that Cape fog out onto the roads, hit roads when they're at about a 6 or a 5 on the PASER rating, rather than letting those fall into that 1 to 4 range. And then our heavy rehabilitation and reconstruction account for only about 20% of our lane miles, but that's really the big chunk of change there, accounting for almost 88% of the total cost. And so we've really shown that in the last 2 years. Our capital improvement accounted for 81% of the lane miles receiving treatment, but only 23% of the total cost. And then that heavy rehabilitation and the reconstruction, that large mill and overlay, accounted for 19% of the lane miles that we did work on, and received about 77% of that total cost. So we were right on par with our asset management strategy that we proposed back in 2023, and the PASER ratings really reflect that. So again, our next steps, really trying to fine tune this strategy of ours, is continuing maintaining road assets in good and fair condition. As much of that in that yellow and green, anything above a 5 there. And continue to maintain and perform condition assessments on the underground utilities and culverts to identify needed repairs. So a lot of the times that storm sewer infrastructure, that sanitary sewer, even the water main, if we have defects with those utilities under the road, those can expedite the degradation to our roads and require us to step in much sooner than we would rather like. If these condition assessments identify large capital needs in different areas, and increased road millage could be that source of funding. Strategic selection of roads in poor condition for reconstruction, trying to plan this out years in advance. Again, picking that right treatment at that right time, and really adopting that dig once mentality. So making sure if there's any utility needs, any sidewalk needs, anything within that right of way, we're all doing that in subsequent phasing that makes sense and is as cost effective as possible. And then an annual look back to assess our progress. Again, figure out what we could do better, what we can learn from, and continually review our annual capital improvement plan and evaluate any tweaks that we may make. So with that, I kind of leave it to any questions anyone may have for me.
Thank you very much, Director Hoppala. Before we entertain questions from the audience and those who are participating online, Engineer Humphries, anything you'd like to add this time?
I'm good, thank you.
Very good. Let me ask a few quick questions, Director Hoppala. These are questions, concerns that I have heard via residents and business owners in the Saline community. They come up frequently. Obviously, we do quite a bit with relatively modest resources. I think you touched on this at the beginning of your presentation, but if this street millage is renewed, what impact does it have to local taxpayers?
Yeah, so that would be the continued tax that you would see since dating back to 2019. So again, that's just one mill that we would be levying upon the citizens.
So no increase.
No increase, no, just a renewal.
Very good. And while we have a local millage, we benefit from a countywide millage. And of course, we get some funding through the federal government and some funding through Act 51, which I know Act 51 is named appropriately because that's the year that statute was enacted. So it underscores the fact that we have a very antiquated system in the state of Michigan for providing funding to local municipalities to improve, maintain, and enhance their local infrastructure, specifically roads. But I assume if this passes, City of Saline will continue its long history of aggressively competing for external dollars to support vital infrastructure.
Absolutely, and I think part of that equation that you're referencing with the Act 51 also shows that imbalance of funding as well, right? So we have more local road miles than our major road miles, but however, we get much more funding in the percentages for our major roads than we do our local. So even when we're looking for federal and state aid, most of that time that major road is the only thing eligible. So those maples and woodlands and industrials are the ones that are actually eligible for that funding. What this road millage really does help us out with is those local roads, those neighborhoods that we're not getting that support from the federal and state governments.
Very good. I will remind the public that in addition to the video recording of tonight's presentation, we do have a street millage renewal bifold that has a lot of helpful facts and data contained within. And we also have our quarterly DPW discussion newsletter, which focuses pretty heavily on the road millage. It was pointed out earlier this evening via my friend Kevin from WEMU Radio that we have a couple extra zeros in one of the first column. So we'll make that correction later tomorrow or later this evening, early tomorrow, to make sure that we're disseminating accurate information to our constituents and business owners. And we'll make sure that both of these documents are available online. And if I'm not mistaken, from staff, perhaps Clerk Royal can address this, both of these flyers are available in the City Hall lobby.
They will be.
They will be, okay, very good, excellent. Let me open it up for questions from the audience unless Ms. Massey or Ms. Lupton have any questions that have been typed in via Facebook Live. It appears we do not at this time. Again, for those of you who are participating via Facebook Live, we encourage you to type in any questions, concerns that you have about either the street millage or the proposed charter amendments. We will read those aloud and they will be addressed this evening.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Mayor Morrow. Director Hoppel, I've got a question. So I'm in the Wildwood area.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Love the roads. But one of the interesting things that happened was they had our access covers were wildly out of whack for years and years, and I'm sure you've lost a few snowplow blades. So my question is, they've all been fixed. Was that part of the operations budget, like not to fall under snow plowing, or was it part of the resealing effort? I'm just curious to know which bucket that funding came from.
Yeah, so that was all part of our actual capital efforts. So that was not from our operations. That was not from our 800,000. That is your road millage at work there, that work that was done in your
Oh,
neighborhood.
very good, thank you. And are there other access covers that are in similar disarray and other, I'm seeing some nods from the knowledgeable people. Right, well, yeah, well, good luck taking care of those. When they do get finally repaired, it is a dream to drive down the street now. Thank you. And bike down the street and roller skate down the street and all those other fun things. Thank you very much.
Glad to hear it.
Thank you for the question. Additional questions from those in the audience? Again, let me defer to Facebook Live. Any questions that have been typed in? Again, this will be maybe your last opportunity to type in a question or concern if you have one. If questions or concerns arise in the coming days or weeks, you are welcome to reach out to any member of staff or any member of City Council to address. We would be happy, to address any questions you have or direct you to the right person who can address the questions or concerns that you have. Kevin, any questions? No? Let me defer to city staff then before we wrap this up. Engineer Humphris or Clerk Royal, anything you'd like to add, reference the proposed charter amendments or the request to renew our 2018, subsequently 2022 street millage? No? Mayor Pro Tem Dillon, anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, this is going pretty quick. Director Hoppel, anything else you would like to add, reference the street millage?
No, I think the past couple of years, especially since we've adopted that transportation asset management, really speaks for itself and shows how great a job this staff and this community has done at stretching the dollars that we've had available to us and really making a difference on really those local and neighborhood roads. like it was mentioned up in Wildwood, right? It's not just that the vehicular traffic, right? It's just your everyday life, right? Being able to have some recreational availability on your streets as well, is really where this road millage hits home at.
Very good. And just a reminder, the video of tonight's presentation will remain online for future reference, and we will make sure that both of the flyers I referenced earlier are available at the front counter of City Hall, and we'll put some PDFs or JPEGs on Facebook online as well. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge our city manager, Dan Swallow, who is absent this evening because of a prior commitment. However, and a press release will be going out in the next few days, I will be hosting a mayoral coffee hour on October the 17th, which is 2 weeks from tomorrow, here at City Hall from I think about 8 o'clock in the morning to 9:30. I'll actually be speaking about a whole host of municipal issues, but this will be a great opportunity for citizens and business owners to introduce themselves to Mr. Swallow and learn about his vision and priorities for the city of Saline in the next 6 months to a year. So again, all are welcome to that. Again, it will be here at City Hall in the first floor conference room on October the 17th from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And with that, I'll offer one last opportunity for any questions. Defer to the tech booth. There are no questions from those participating online. We thank everybody for their participation this evening, and we'll leave you with that. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.